Hello everyone, this is Genesis. I'm coming back to you with a video about Vcom AI, and today we are going to be, working on the artillery system. I've done some little bit of research, I've done some things, I'm ready to kind of make a video on it. I don't think we're going to complete it in this short time here today, but we're going to get some work done on it so you can see what we are doing. Just a little updates. Vcom AI is going to go through another pretty big overhaul again. So I'm getting rid of a lot of the old code. We're replacing the artillery system. FFE has been pretty good, but I think we can optimize it. Plus I want to make my own system, and I just want to have some fun with it. So we're going to be working on that in our little island, or test island of Stratosphere. We always use a beautiful little island. And today, we just want you to sit back and relax. I want to be trying to do some new artillery, hopefully make it a little bit smarter, a little bit more, yes, gamey to some extent, a little more fun for players to engage with, and maybe do some good framework system, allow them to have more direct control or ask for artillery even. So we will see about that. So let's go ahead and we'll just get started. I enjoy the nice calming music in the background. So I did some little bit of research here. I did just based off of the let's get the code based off the vanilla mines, which might be more. These are the basic types of rounds that artillery uses. HE, guided, laser guided, cluster shells, mine clusters, smoke, AT mine clusters. I don't know the huge difference between guided and laser guided. So I could probably look that up if I wasn't being lazy, but we're going to get the framework going at any rate, so I should go ahead and just get that going. So what's the first step? Well, we're going to be kind of gutting a lot of the systems. We might borrow a lot of things, but let's go ahead and start from the very beginning. And that's going to be looking at how did AI even call artillery in the first place? So we're looking here at our FSM for the AI. There's a lot of things that we're doing here, but one thing when combat begins is they do a check frequently for artillery. Right now each side has a cooldown, and yeah, we still want to have cooldowns, but I think I'm going to change them to this kind of complicated, each side has its own cooldown system, to just, they can only call them every so often. I mean, it's going to be kind of a global cooldown, but it's going to be much different than it works now. So the artillery won't get called in one after the other, but it will get called in maybe with a random chance, or with more of a zeroing kind of system. So it's something I haven't done before for it, but we're going to go ahead and see how it goes. Let's see, there's an already check here that they already have. That's the cover to cover. Where's the already check? It's kind of hard to click. There we go. Okay. So the conditions of this, I think we're going to focus on first. Yeah, so here's the script where we're just going to be modifying already call. And right now we have this kind of, depending on the side, we kind of swap with what the wait time is. And these are some things that are set kind of in the user config files, which we will go ahead and pull that up now. Alright, here. Let's change this to here. Okay. This is the delay between seconds between squads requesting artillery. Now, the new system's going to be much different. So here is the kind of thinking of that, alright? Let's use some basic old paint here, it's fine. So this is going to be different than how it used to work before, okay? Alright, so we used to have it before, so we have some units here, a squad here, and we would have, you want to call some artillery on here. What it used to work before is it kind of would draw a random circle around them, and then it would pick a random spot to hit, and sometimes it would be right on top, sometimes it would be, with a margin of error. But what it would do before, draw a giant circle, and then it would pick one rough area, so a smaller circle, and hit all the rounds there. Okay, so that's fair, but it just didn't feel too fun. Like, it was kind of cool when that would hit near you, but what would happen a lot of time would draw a big circle, and then it'd be here, and then I'd draw another big circle here, and then it would kill anything in this area. Artillery in this game is very effective, so anything in this range would just get annihilated, right? There's no bracketing, there's nothing. So what we want to do is have it do a system. So once, kind of like this, once you get more notice, there'll be a threshold. And this will be the threshold line. Once you get noticed here at this threshold, then they can call an artillery because they know just enough where you're at. And we're going to mimic that in some way. It'll be a little gamey, and that's fine because the players will notice artillery doesn't call them instantly. Is what we're going for. But the longer they're engaged in a combat, without eliminating people quick enough that they're going to be have artillery called in on them. So what we want to do is that first system we want to design is this little threshold system. Okay. But also we're going to do, say, once they get that threshold here, artillery will be called in repeatedly on them, except it's going to be different. Instead of it always hitting near them or really close or wiping them out very easily, we want to have a smarter system that knows when to use AT, mines, or smoke, and make it a little bit more dynamic for the situation. Okay? So what we're going to start with is that they're going to start a kind of similar system, but much different. It's going to start with a huge circle around them. And then not only do we have the threshold for beginning the artillery, right? So right here is when we can actually shoot them. We're going to do another accuracy threshold that will slowly increase over time. And so with time and essentially the length of engagement, the longer you engage with them, the more information they have on you. Okay. So in the very beginning, you have this circle here that maybe you'll have one round, and we'll just focus on really one round at a time. We'll hit here. Okay, and then the circle will slowly get closer to you, and then slowly get closer. And by the fourth round, they're getting pretty close. And then with him in the circle, it gets within maybe 50 meters of the leader. I'm not sure how we're going to do that. We want to make sure it's quick and efficient, right? But 50 meters within a certain member of the group. Then they're going to fire multiple rounds once they get within 50. Okay, so it's them kind of bracketing in. So this has almost like a warning system for the players. I don't know how this works in real life. I don't really care to a certain extent, but what I do care about is that, hey, look, so now the player's going to see a round hit out here. They'll see a round hit here. And they're going to see a round hit here. And if they don't move or disengage or get a good distance away from the group that's targeting them, then the rounds are going to be hitting right in here. So it kind of moves up close. It gets more dynamic gameplay. So artillery is more of a mechanic of pressuring players in. Now, not to say that there's not a chance that it, could hit here right away in the beginning. So, but it'll be definitely really inaccurate. Okay. There might be some certain situations where it won't be, but if laser guided, I'm not sure how that's going to work, but we're going to play with that. So you get the idea. So that's the idea of what we're going for. So the first thing is I want them to be able to call artillery. We're going to reduce this drastically too. We're probably going to be too often in the beginning just so we can test it. To 30 seconds. Okay. Every 30 seconds, artillery can be called. Okay. And these are the times for that. Well, they can be requested. Right, so in here, do that. So for the artillery check, these are the right here the conditions for the artillery to be fired. So our artillery has to be enabled. The RDT, which is the artillery time for each side, west, east, and resistance. There's not a civilian in here. Huh. Civilians can't really use artillery, can they? Maybe that might be a weird issue. Anyway, we'll worry about that later. Plus the Vcom RD delay. So if the artillery time is here, right, initially, plus the delay is less than the time that it is currently, or the time is greater than, right, then we can go ahead and shoot. And the side of the inner group is in the Vcom artillery sides, the sides that can use artillery. And remember, that's another function. Here, west, east, and resistance can use artillery. And it's just going to be Vcom artillery now. Okay. And it counts the unit's group nearest enemy is greater than 2. We're going to get rid of this one for right now. Yeah, I really don't like them using artillery rounds on groups of 1, but the group check isn't the best because there can be a lot of players running around in different groups, and yeah, we're going to do a better system. So alright, so if those conditions get passed, then it will go ahead and do the artillery call, and it will use the nearest enemy. So we can find the nearest known enemy, right? Okay. Oops, artillery check. And they're going to launch the artillery script function, and then they do a switch side group. Depending on the side, it'll reset the time for this kind of global thing, for that side, for whoever has the local side, right? And then I'll do a debug message here. So now okay, so now we have them calling in artillery when they can. So let's go ahead and let's finish this step here. So I'm going to go to our Vcom functions default settings. Change this to 30 as well, just to keep up with everything. Okay. So already checked. So let's go ahead and take a look at this function here. Already call. Well, I might have to take a step back here. Okay, so let's pull it up here. Here's already call. Okay. There's also artillery manage. So let's take a step back. So how do we know what's artillery? Well, we have this function that runs. It literally just, for each unit's this, it checks their vehicle. And there's actually a faster way to do this, but we're fine here. So essentially, I'll make sure it's right. So if, yeah, this is no longer depreciated. We're gonna revive this time. Alright. So essentially what we did, I gotta remind myself what I did here. We do a class like if it has an artillery scanner, which means if it has the ability to artillery, it gets added to Vcom artillery list pushback, right? Okay. As long as it's not already in the artillery list. That's how it works. And how do we make sure that if they're in the artillery list and they die, how do I do that? If they're already in the artillery list and they die, they shouldn't. They should get removed from it, right? How did I do that? Let's take a look how I did that. So what I'm going to do is search for artillery list. I want to make sure the artillery list is getting handled correctly because that's the backbone, right? Let's say we do an artillery call. Okay. That's fine. I like that. So an artillery call. Bam. We have the call group and the enemy group that we're passing by, but that's not necessarily true. We're passing through. What do I do? Oh yeah, group and group. So we have the enemy group and the call group. Okay. Here's the call side as the side of the call group. Okay. So first what we do is we go through each of the Vcom artillery lists. Alright. We do the same kind of check. If our check is not equal to 1, then we delete the list. Okay. And this we have to kind of change up because this doesn't work as well as we thought this works. So we got to kind of redo a lot of this. Okay, same. We're just going to start from scratch. We're going to refer to this because I'm going to use a lot of the same code, but we're going to kind of change it up here. So first, let's go ahead and make sure we clear any dead artillery units. So this will keep the system dynamic. So remove list. So there was an issue with ARMA is you can't use delete at in the same array that you're editing. And let me see if I can make a an example of this to show you, just so you understand why I'm doing this the way I am. So let's go ahead and launch this up here so we can get in the game so I can just run some code for the fun of it, right? So let's go ahead and I think I had an example of this. We'll do private test array equals global array test array equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Maybe with globals array it works different, but okay, so we have an array of just numbers, right? And then we'll come up here and whoops. We'll do for each test array, we're gonna delete test array, delete at for each index. X, right? Wow, am I doing that command right? Hold on. That isn't really weird here. Let me make sure I'm using this command right. It's been a while since I've really sat down and coded, right? Delete at. This is something I'm not sure is super well known. Oh, we just delete at. I thought I can have an array. It's just the index. So literally, we're just going to delete at for each index, and then we're going to hint string test array. Unless this got fixed or I'm crazy. We'll see. And it should result of some of these being left over. Oh, I put a private here. Whoops. You see how it says on the top right, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10? So when I'm using this, it should delete the entire array. This should be return empty, but see how it returns 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 in the top right there? Something I learned was causing a lot of issues in my scripts because I modified it. And this is a pretty common sense to encode and have to do this. I don't know that. I use this as a hobby. So what it's doing is deleting 1, and then it skips 1. It goes 3, deletes 3, skips 1, deletes 5, skips 1, deletes 7, and so on and so forth. So the best way I've found to do this is, well, okay, we have to create a test array, or a temp array essentially. And instead of doing delete at, we just push back everything we want to get rid of. And then for each test array, how do I want to do this? We essentially have to, oh man, my brain, how do we want to do this? My brain is not working right now. It's late and I'm tired. I do this all the time in Dissension. It's been a while since I've had to do this. And there's a lot of different ways to do this. Like one of those, probably the worst ways is this minus this array. So doing like test array equals that test array minus temp array. And that should work, right? Yeah, now it's empty. So there's one way to do it. I think that's slower than if we did something like for each temp array, test array, delete at. Yeah, it's something crazy like that. And just, yeah. I can't remember exactly how I did that. Now I'm curious. Wow, my brain is just not working too well. I know in Dissension I did that quite a bit. I had to find that fix and I had to fix it in there. I don't know if this is gonna find it, but we're gonna try. It's not worth, I just use the minus for now, and it's not a big deal for right now. You have to essentially, you can't do for each delete at, you have to separate that out. And it's really easy, and I'm just tired and forgetting it. It's like this right here is not good. So let's delete at for each index. It's not good. That's the furniture script. That needs to be fixed. Ah, that's right, it was this kind of code here. This is similar to it. Essentially, I would build another array. We don't need this. And then I would use this index as the temp array. So So do the temp array. For each of the temp array, we would take the test array here. I know this is kind of, and we find if the x is equal to the number, the original number we're comparing it to, and then we would delete it that way. And that's about. I don't know if this is any faster or not. It looks fancy, right? And I would also do the same thing. So we'll do that for now. Way like this to make the artillery. So all that knowing work just to make sure that we remove anything from the artillery list that that the artillery is not either artillery, so the units got out, or they're dead. So to make sure we keep that list up to date, otherwise we're going to be requesting artillery from dead units, which is going to cause a lot of issues. Okay, so essentially, for each artillery list, if, and I had that, this code here is still good, so, okay. We still want to add this code in here. So instead of doing delete at here, we want to push back the remove list. Let's push back X. Just like that. Then we can remove it here. So this is if the class isn't nil, if it's not equal to 1, if it's not equal to 1, or not alive X, then remove it from the artillery list. So this will clear any units that shouldn't be in that list up, okay? And is there a way we can test this right now? I think we can't even with the current version. So this isn't running the live changes, but we can spawn a bunch of these kind of mortar dudes here. And we're gonna have to give it a second, I'm assuming, but I should be able to hit this list. You can see they're already populated in the list here. So if I kill this guy, see on the period he changes now from alpha to this mortar P3D. We need to go through here. If I run this command, hopefully that P3D one's error should be removed. Okay, we ran it, and you see it returned a namer already, and if we run that, yep, see how it removed them. Cool. So we know it's working. Neat. That's already a bug fix there. And then the next step we want to do, so now we did that. Okay. And I think we did something, yeah, we could support ammo, right? We're going to change this up a little bit, so we're not going to finish this. So now we got rid of all the dead artillery units, so let's find an artillery group that can provide support. And the way this before is the closest one to them that was alive could provide support. And this way, I'm just going to reuse some of this stuff here. I can actually provide support. So this function will find this artillery array. It's going to find any side that is friendly to the. So this this means if resistance is friendly to blue 4, they could get support of each other. Okay. And the side is in the artillery sides. Then the artillery pushback X. Okay. So now we're building artillery array of all the units that can. So we filter it down even more. Okay. Because artillery array could also include op4 sides too. Some of this includes everyone. So this is a giant list of all units. We only want to pull the blue 4 ones. So if I plop down the resistance guys here, like these guys here, they are also going to show up in this artillery list eventually. There they are. See, they're getting added to. So it's just one giant list of all the units, so it doesn't separate by sides. So we just do that later in a function like this, right? We can probably, yeah, that's fine. And as long as there's something, if the artillery array is equal to, it's empty, then we need to exit. So this means that there are no artillery units available. Okay. Now with our completed array, let's find positions that can support. So we have the closest group from the artillery array, from the leader of the call group. And we try to find the closest group. And if it doesn't find a group, it will exit. But the closest group is going to be the artillery group we are working with. Perfect. Okay, good. Alright. So now we're in kind of new territory. Because from there, originally what we had is we just went ahead and figured out what we can shoot, and we would just shoot. But now we need to do what? Well, I'm thinking, we need to detect, we need to see how much we know about the enemy. Okay. So the enemy group, right? They're calling it on a group. I mean, it's really going to pick a group of people. Okay. And it's going to pick a group of people. So this is what we're going to do. So we have enemy group, which is right here. But we also want to make sure we're not just wasting a bunch of artillery on one guy. But it's more complex than that, because then if he's in a tank, then that's different. So this is where we're going to get certain specifics. So we need to gather some information. Are there any vehicles? Because that's going to change some things. So we're going to do private. We're going to define, well, right here we'll define the variable. So private vehicles equals false initially. So for each, and we'll just do enemy group units equals units. Let's go enemy group. Let me spell this correctly. Okay, so we're just pulling information. So now we can pull this way all the units from the enemy group, not just the group itself, which is like, you know, this thing up here. Now we can look at this list right here, all the actual units within the group. Okay, and then for each enemy units, we're going to do this tag. I think object parent. Do I have that in here? Object parent, parent object, something like that. There's a better way to check if they're in a vehicle not than just vehicle. It's object parent. I always got to make sure I use this right. I check the players on foot. So private, so vehicle. If this is null, so if it is null, object parent of the unit is null. Let me see this. If is null object parent, then they're on foot, right? Then they're on foot. If true, then they are on foot. So if it's not true, that means that, hey, they must be in a vehicle of some kind. And I don't want to private variable that again, whoops. So we want to say vehicle's true. And we could get specific with this. Yeah, so if, let's make sure we're filtering out aircraft. I don't want them launching artillery aircraft. Or do we just want to make sure they're on the ground? I think we just want to make sure they're on the ground. If there's an aircraft that's landed, I don't see why not. I think that'd be kind of interesting. So, if, what we will do is a distance, a height check, right? If get pos ATL X select 2. So what we're doing is just grabbing the height of it. If it's less than 5, I don't know, then vehicles equals true. Alright. I can exit with. And if you exit with here, it's going to exit the scope. Well, okay, that's fine. Let me make sure that works. So what we'll do is grab this initial chunk here. So hint string. So we player. So I think 5 is even generous. Let's get me in a helicopter. So I'm just testing to make sure, like, you know, I'm very big. I always let there be tolerances for things. You know, I'm not one who needs to be exact with everything, because here's my motto: if the player doesn't notice it, the player doesn't see it, don't bother. See, okay, so this is what I was wondering. See, even here on, I'm technically 2.29 meters off the ground here. I'm looking at just the player. And so any really big aircraft that's high off the ground, I think 5 is fine. We can make it more like 6. That's, I mean, if you're not low to the ground, artillery will still F you up, so. Yep, okay. The vehicle's true. Okay. So, essentially, there's going to be different things we want to focus on. So, and so here's the way we're going to catch, a bit more general about it. So we're going to use this for each enemy groups, which is fine. There's not there any vehicles. Actually, we need to change this up. What I want to do is for the leader of the group is find the leader of the group, and anyone around them within 50 meters gets captured. Okay. Enemy group leader equals leader of the enemy group. And then we want to find using near entities, which is much faster. I think near entities, right? Yeah, near entities. Like this right here, right? This is very basic. Just pulling up. Okay. Infantry A. It's going to be the enemy group leader, near entities, man, within 50 meters. So that's going to pull anyone within 50 meters, friendly or hostile. Okay, within 50 meters. So if I run it here, I need to put in player here for the testing, so I can test it and go make sure. Yep, they all are on the top right. Okay, so that works. This will pull us any 150. So that's the groups we're working off, right? These are all the units we're working off, not just that group. Okay, so remember in ARM, the way it works is you can have. See, these will be a whole bunch of dudes right here, right? You can have all these guys, but each of these guys can be in their own groups. So we're just working off of that. Then we're gonna miss it. Like if we're just gonna, oh, if it's less than, you know, one guy in a group. No. So we want to make sure we do it within a 15 meter radius. That counts as a group. That's 4 people. So in this case here, as long as they're within 50 meters, okay, that will work. But what we need to do is filter out friendlies. So we're using the same thing we're doing up here. Okay. We're using this good old remove list right here again. So so we need to remove out any friendlies. But we actually need to just separate them. Because what we want to do, this is something we're trying to do, is prevent friendly fire. If there's friendly units within certain meters, we just need to exit the script. We don't want to call artillery on top of friendlies. Maybe we'll have some tolerance if there's one friendly there. Oops, there's one friendly there. You know, who cares? But if we'll just see how nice we want to be with that. Okay, so we want to find any friendlies within 50 meters. And there's still going to be, we'll have to see how this works for the most part. There's always going to be situations where some people are going to get killed. So if the side of the infantry is equal to the call side, cool, then friendly list, push back X. Push them back. Okay. So if count friendly list is greater than 0, so if there's anyone within 50 meters, let's just exit. You know, is that too much? How much is 50 meters even? Let's look at that house there. That house from here, that's 60. Yeah, I think that's fair. 50 meters, that's like awfully close to have artillery called in. Okay. I think that's fair. Let's give that a try. If it's greater than 2, we'll exit with. And we'll make sure not only that they're friendly, but let's do this because this command is lighter to run, I'm assuming. And alive X. So they're both alive. And they are friendly, put them on their friend list. And if it's greater than 2, then we need to exit with. Okay. But otherwise, we're going to continue. Okay. We got about probably 20 more minutes before I end this video here. So far what we've done is create this where we just pull in, we make sure that there's no friendlies nearby. And if there are, we're going to exit it. And then if not, then we're going to figure out further what we need to do. So we have infantry, then they are foot. Okay, so vehicles are not. So, and this is going to be is this a call function? Is this a spawn function? This is a call. We can change it to a spawn if we need to, but so. Cool, we got that. And we also need to get, at this point we can collect more information. Now that we've passed basic checks, let's collect more information to do the damage. So there's a couple of things I'm actually going to shift down below. We don't need this anymore. This is going to be shifted down below because it might be, it might just quit up here. So I'll need to call the variable in if we're not going to use it. So this is going to use, this is going to use, this is all good. But we'll put this here just in case, because, no reason to declare it if we're not going to use it. So here's our code. We need to know the general awareness of the group. Okay. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to go through each of the units. Average. Do average knowledge equals 0. Okay. And we're going to do average knowledge equals average knowledge plus x get variable Vcom let's see, I don't call this location known. I might be using some other scripts, right? And the default's going to be 0. Okay. Okay, so we're going to add up the average known. And then get an average, of course, you do average equals average divided by the count of the infantry A. Okay. And then we're going to do a switch here. So I'm making this up on the spot, but okay, so max amount of known yeah, this is gonna be custom system. I was gonna just type into the Arma's default system, but that's just still too quick. Unknown is going to be 100. Okay. So we're going to do a switch case here. So the maximum unknown is how much randomness there is to it, okay? So let's go back to a switch because... Oh, wait a second. We have an example of a switch right here. You can see I just like to reuse a lot of code to speed this up. So switch... oh man, how do I do this? So we're going to have to do another test here of how do we make sure I do a switch correctly for, so let's say this is numbers, right? Switch equals 45. So if it is, if case is greater than, we'll say 0, greater than or equal to 0, and is less than 20. Do that. Hint. Yep. Less than 60, so we should get yep 2 here. I don't know if this is the right way to do it or not. It says it's true. Yep 2, yep. So that's yep 2. And so if we change this to 2, it should be yep. Okay. There we go. So the average known is between 0 and, we'll do 10. We'll do private. We'll just define all the variables up here that we're going to need. Do min random distance equals 0, and then private max random distance equals 0. So the min distance is going to be, when we say we're looking at a target here, minimum distance is going to be how far we want it to be out by default. So let me make this smaller here. I don't know this new system. Can I make this bigger or what? I don't know. I'm sure I can, I just don't know how. Alright, anyway. Back to brushes here. Whoops. Oh, that's cool. Look at all this cool stuff. Anyway. So it's going to be, if a guy here, the minimum distance is going to be essentially this here, and here's the max distance. So the minimum distance is here, and then this is the max distance. So this is the range that I want a round to land in. This gives the player a definite safe zone, and they're in this region. And if players are really spread out, they're still going to be in the danger zone. There's a chance they do still get hit, so there's still some risk to this. So, but if they barely know anything about them, it's going to be a minimum distance of like 150 and a max distance of, let's listen this to 100, and a max distance of 300 or something like that. These numbers are going to have to be really messed with. And so we'll do, this will be, so those 10, 20, this will be 30, 40, 50, 20, 30, 40. This could probably be like a linear equation formula, actually, if I wasn't terrible at math. That's what we would do. 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Can I do that? I think so. I always like to make sure. So let's say it's at 100. And yep. Yep, okay. Okay. So minimum distance will be, and then this will slowly maybe titrate in. 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, right? And this will come down. So this will be 300 to definitely more than that. So we'll do 250. It might be. Okay, so it's going to come in pretty fast, and then we'll go to 150 to 100 or 120. It's 100 to 80, 60, 50 to 40. So it's the most accurate right here. It will still always be 10 meters off, which is still plenty close for artillery to kill you. Okay. So here's the average knowledge. Okay. Bam. For each of those units. Okay. And that pretty much does what I needed to do. Okay. So now I'm going to figure out if we need to shoot at vehicles or not. So if let's see. So all I want to do is, so how do we give them a mission to either use smoke, use AT, or use so use smoke, use AT, or use HE, those kinds of things on a target. Well, I'll say vehicles are going to be a priority, so the vehicle count. Okay. We're actually going to change this up a little bit. Instead of vehicles, this is going to be vehicle count is going to be 0. So we're just going to count the vehicles. Let's actually push them back into an array, actually. So now we're breaking it down to an array of vehicles. And we'll break it down to an array of infantry count. And let's to make sure we're doing something. I just had a thought, like maybe this only will pull up. Like, what if they're inside of a vehicle? It'll pull up the infantry inside that vehicle. So let's make sure we test that. So if a fuel truck here. Change this to player. And you see it's only pulling up. Okay. So it's only pulling up. Is this how I do this? And I do land vehicles. Land vehicle. Okay. Do, 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 do. So we don't need to do this at all because I'm just gonna block out this code. This in your entities will not pull AI in vehicles. So we're going to have to redo some of this code. Okay. So for each infantry A, let's just do all enemy units. So just infantry A, it's not just infantry now. Okay, we have finding the friendlies within 50 meters. This is what we did up here. So live X, call side is friendly. And this, let's test this here. So but that does pull, wait a second. That does pull the infantry inside, it's not pulling the vehicle. Oh. Oh. Well, okay. So I was looking at that array and it does pull the vehicles in there as well. So that's fine. We will need this code still. Okay. I'm almost wondering if it'd be better. I just want to run near entities twice. That command can be pretty hefty. I think it's better just to do this, and then we separate them back down here. So vehicle count, and then infantry count. And we're only playing land vehicles, so we shouldn't need this anymore. So that's another little optimization. Okay. So if vehicle count greater than 0, if the vehicle count, let's see, this is tough. So let's just pick a random formula here. So if the count, so let's say there are 2 vehicles, but there's 10 infantry. We want to focus on the infantry, well, the vehicles. I'm trying to think of this one. So it goes to say there's like 6 vehicles, but there's like 50 infantry. We want to focus on the infantry, but there's 2 vehicles and there's 5 infantry. Or I just want to always make vehicles a priority. I think we just need to make vehicles a priority for now. Maybe we can introduce some randomness to it. Let's do that. Let's have some randomness to it as well. So if count vehicles greater than 0 and random 100 is greater than 50. 50-50 chance, right? Then we want to exit with, because we're going to use different rounds. Well, no we don't. We just want to change the rounds. Okay, so here, define what rounds we are using at the enemy. So here is that one part I was talking about way at the beginning. Bam. Alright. Now we're about wrapping this baby up here. So all we have, these are the rounds that we have, okay? The Arma has by default at least. So we want to go back to literally the arty array, which is a list of all the units we have, all the way back there. And now we want to see if any of them have these rounds. So private final arty array equals this. So why are we defining this empty final artillery array as well? Because maybe not all the artillery units have all the same. So if it's a vehicle, we're going to want to use something guided or laser guided. I don't know if we use laser guided. We'll just throw it in there and see how it works. The AT mine cluster would be good. Smoke mine clusters, these won't be as good. So what you want to do is bam, get this for each of the magazines. We have this, what is it called? Get artillery ammo, there we are. So this is again another little thing we're doing. We're pulling the ammo array of the artillery unit. If, whoops, wrong button. If not is nil ammo array, then we want to do another for each, and doing a for each within for each sucks, but I don't see any other way to get around this right now. Okay. And also pulling from configs is not quick by any means. For each of the ammo array. Okay. So when get text. So if the get text, and we're going to do this, is in this list of, let's see, let's do this. Let's back this up a little bit. Because I want to make this a little bit more mod compatible, because maybe there's some mods add certain things, I'm not sure. So we'll do, let's do type. So we're just going to go ahead and get the type of it. Okay. If type, and then we're running out of time here, but let's go ahead, and there's a string, I think, command. String in string, bizfunc in string. Okay, so if AT is in the name, AT is in the name, or hopefully let's make it more like mod compatible. So that will pull the mine cluster, AT mine cluster automatically. We'll do guided is in the name. If guided or AT is in the name of the type, which is the display name short, then we can add it. Then we can add the final array array. Push back. the unit. This is getting a little complicated, but so essentially, okay, cool. We get the artillery ammo of the unit, and we'll reverse this here. Okay, and then we get the artillery ammo of the unit. As long as it's not nil, then we do a search for each of the ammo types that the unit has, and we pull the types of the magazines, what they are called, and if they have AT in the name, or they have guided in the name, for right now at least, then we're going to push that unit back into this final list of units who can, do some damage. Whew! Okay, and just to wrap it up, that'll be it. And if maybe we're just focusing on infantry, right? Do the same exact thing, except the difference here is that, hey, if it's got HE in the name or cluster, and it says AT mine cluster, so we need to account for that. I just realized this is not exactly what I wanted. So push back the unit. Oh, this is going to need a redesign here, I just realized. So what we need to do is push back. Okay. So we're going to end the video here, but what I need to do is, when we start again, we're going to redesign this part here. Or maybe I'll complete it and show you where it needs to push back essentially a list of all the units with the ammo types in here. My tiredness is getting through. So essentially it'd be like this, but we need to do it for all of it. We're going to have to figure that out, but we'll get to that next. So everyone, thank you so much for watching. You can see we completed about 16 to 136 lines of code. Hopefully we can reduce this, keep it more simple. So we'll go from there. Alright everyone, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.